I'm just checking out, check 1, 2.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for getting up and being here, what feels very early to me, at least right now. This year for our keynote, we're very, very psyched that we got Marcus to come out. I'll let him do his own bio because he can do it better than I can. But thanks for coming out. And with that,
Hey, first of all, thanks a lot for the NolaCon squad and everybody for having me. We had an amazing dinner last night. It was amazing. So it was so amazing. It ensures that I'll be submitting to NolaCon every year. just for the food. I'm telling you, it was ridiculous. All right, so I have one like little bio slide, and this is it. That's me. I think, and I'll go into everything that I'm kind of known for. I'm gonna go through my I'll go through my bio and I'll talk about myself. So big picture, I was U.S. Navy crypto guy. I worked at NSA. I did some cool stuff. So this talk is going to be weird. When I say follow the yellow brick road, I'm actually talking about the Wizard of Oz. I'm totally going there. And so what's cool about this movie is I think that it's taught me so much about life, and I didn't know it. So somebody recently, one of my investors told me that my life was like Wizard of Oz, and I was like, yeah, it kind of is. And so one of my employees actually painted a yellow brick and gave it to me as a present, because I talk about Wizard of Oz all the time. It's the weirdest thing. So this is going to be like, so I don't know if you've been to one of my talks. Some people know me, so I know some people on Twitter. I get real personal. So I want to talk about my life. I'm going to talk about how I kind of have been, people think I'm kind of successful in cybersecurity. I'm going to go about like everything about me. I started my own company a couple of years ago, and so it's going to be a combination of all that stuff. And so you're going to get to know me better. I think that, and people that watch me talk, love my book recommendations. If you have a phone or a pad, I give killer book recommendations. Tell me. People email me, LinkedIn me, tweet me, hey, what was that book you mentioned? Blah blah blah. And so yeah, so I'm gonna go over that stuff. So what's cool about this movie? It starts off pretty much with a tornado. And so I'm from Texas. Tornadoes are cool. We see tornadoes, and it's really cool to be here in Louisiana. How many people are actually native from Louisiana here? A couple people. Yeah. So we in Texas we call Louisiana East Texas. That's it. I would say like all the food outside the bar is better in Louisiana. There's amazing food here. All right, so it starts off with this tornado. And so I think that like a lot of times we try to divorce InfoSec from reality. And what happens is people talk about InfoSec burnout and all this other stuff. And so I'm going to talk about personal stuff, where did I grow up in my tornado. So if you didn't notice, I'm black. So it's a bunch of cliffhangers here. So I'm totally from the hood. I grew up like crazy. My mom wasn't there. She used to dump me off with my grandmother all the time. And this is my tornado story, right? And so what happened was my mom used to leave me with all kind of crazy people. I got abused and all kind of crazy stuff that no kid should ever have to go through. So through all that, I kind of in myself, growing up, and even as a young adult, I was like, dang, why did I have to go through all that crap, right? Why did I have to be in that situation? So what I think, excuse me, it's a song by Kanye West. I think the name of the song is Everything I'm Not Makes Me Everything That I Am, something like that. So I think that we all go through everything you've been through in life, and this is going to definitely relate to cybersecurity. I'm not doing a Tony Robbins special up here. Everything that you do, every experience that you have, and in your personal life, growing up, technically, everything actually is going to make you a better person at the end of the day. And so I think that I've been through stuff in my life just so I can relate to other people that have been through the same thing. And I think we all need to embrace that. So here's the big deal. Y'all remember last year? I think it was last year because I saw. Y'all remember the whole, what is it called? Malware tech. What was the thing he stopped by Redfin Domain? Yeah, WannaCry. It was all over the place, right? So WannaCry comes out, and the thing that I learned about WannaCry was sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So this is what happened essentially with the WannaCry situation. Now I think that it's funny because sometimes we do minor things, ended up having some kind of huge impact, and I kind of think that's what happened in the WannaCry situation. And so in life, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and that's even in cybersecurity. Sometimes we're lucky as all outdoors. Sometimes attackers are human, so sometimes attackers are stupid. They don't do all the damage that they could as well. So this is so funny because in this thing, this this concept called fair use, and I think I'm doing it. So I got mad. Of course, all this stuff is from the movie. So this is amazing. So one thing we do in cybersecurity is we're always going full speed ahead, and sometimes we forget to celebrate the small wins. You know what I'm saying? So, so here's the deal. So, and this is cool. So in the movie, they have these different people that got you, right? And so in my life, like I went to the Navy. The Navy kind of like guided me to be able to do a lot of things that I never had the opportunity to. And so this part of it, where I encourage people, everybody in here, is like I want to encourage you to be mentoring and guiding somebody. And so hopefully you're working someplace that you might have somebody there, but maybe sometimes step outside your normal, day-to-day operations and maybe mentor somebody and be their good witch or whatever, right? So just you gotta do that. Because when times comes where there's going to be these struggles that come up in that person's life, you can actually help them out and all that stuff. And also from a cybersecurity perspective, this is kind of funny because like sometimes like this adversary right here is like somebody that's up in your face, but many times we don't know who the adversary is, right? And so we need that kind of guidance and that help sometimes when we're facing our adversaries. Also, the importance teamwork, right? So you need good teams to win. And I actually, in preparation to this, there's a lot of different things that I want to kind of dispel here. I'm like a cybersecurity myth buster. How many people here think they have enough budget? If you work in an enterprise, how many people think they have the right budget for spending on stuff right now? Oh, you got enough money? No? You have the right team? So, if you could, would you spend more money? So for everybody watching on YouTube now, the answer is no. They don't have enough budget. They don't have the right team right now. So, you think you're spending too much money on products? Are y'all spending too much money on products? Or yes? Or are you spending too much money on personnel? So raise your hand if you say personnel. Raise your hand if you say you're spending too much money on product. Yeah, so I figured that. So basically what's happening in cybersecurity nowadays is we're like doing this huge capital investment, spending tons of money on product, when we actually be bringing people in. So if we can, industry-wide, what we need to do is we need to start going back to the old school where we start emphasizing technical skills and things of that nature. And like there was a while in cybersecurity where we shunned open source stuff. And I think there's still some remnants of that where we don't use open source stuff. But I think that if we actually put the money in the people, be able to leverage open source, that other stuff to win. So here's the good stuff right here. So what was this character's flaw in the movie? Yeah, if I only had a brain. Amazing. I love that song. I love this whole thing. So So I work with tons of smart people, but for some reason the smart people don't appreciate they have the smarts to do what they need to do. Y'all see it a lot? So what I believe is that, like, most of the time when you're going down that yellow brick road, like looking for the answer, looking for some magical thing, like you already have the resources that you have. And the reason why this is super important is because everybody's talking about AI and machine learning right now. AI and machine learning is going to be somehow better than your actual brain itself. So I want everybody to start, like, and I'm going to talk about AI a lot too. I do tons of reading, tons of research on this stuff, you know, building software and all that stuff. So I believe that you already have the brain. Now what's this right here? So this character, the lion, he lacked courage. So basically, this thing that I keep hearing called imposter syndrome, that a lot of people talk about all the time, and not believing that you can do it. So I'm hardwired another different kind of way. I think I can do anything. I might be totally delusional. Maybe it's because I'm from Texas, but I believe I can do anything. And so I have this uncrazy, like, it may be hubris, but I just think I can do anything I can do. And actually, all my employees, everybody surrounding me, and my kids, you should see my kids. My kids think they're superheroes. I just pump their head up and they think they're amazing. And they are. And this character, heart. Everybody forget what the Tin Man needed, right? So the Tin Man didn't have a heart. And so heart is something, I don't know if you can shit, but you can definitely make people understand that they can do what they got to do. And so one of my favorite Western movies are like cowboy movies. And that's the movie. Like, you got to have some grit to be in this game. And I'm going to get into some other stuff later on how to persevere, like long term. I think information security is or cybersecurity, whatever you want to call it. It's more of it's a long tail process. So you're not going to go out there and buy a new firewall or something tomorrow that's going to stop all the problems. So it's a long game. And so what you best do is you better just realize where you're at and how to play the long game. And so I'm going to tell you how to die of a broken heart is what the term is. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So he had a broken heart. Somebody like was able to help him out and heal his heart. And he could go on. Love this picture right here. So as far as like big like nation state attackers, we talk about this all the time. So I think that there's two. I'm going to get like kind of controversial here. Like the whole pen testing methodology. I believe the pen testers most of the time this fake white hat thing. And it's fake because all the white hat hackers are doing all the same stuff. And what the network defenses are doing is building their networks to counteract the white hat hackers. So, you know, there's plenty of really awesome white hat hackers, but they're not actually emulating the real adversary, right? And so, for example, like some of these adversaries, they're dropping 4 or 5 different malware variants on in your enterprise. You catch the first malware variant, what they do is they'll change it up. And why this is super important here is they're actually monitoring your behavior. So if you find this malware variant, they can judge you based on that. And many of these adversaries are starting off with simple malware, and then they'll escalate to version 2, 3, 4, because they're only going to use the techniques, excuse me. Yes. So that's like the IT crowd, right? I love it. Turn on. It was. Yeah. So what the attackers are doing is they're escalating what they have to do to totally compromise you. They're not coming in one time and passing a hash and okay, whatever, right? They're coming in and they're being super persistent. And what's awesome about this picture is your adversary is monitoring your network better than you're monitoring it half the time. And this is pretty cool right here, because everybody's going to agree with this. Everybody always agrees with this theory right here. So this is a pretty cool scene. It says haunted forest. And here's a better picture of it. This is like something you can buy on eBay or something. Haunted forest, witch's castle, 1 mile. I'd turn back if I were you. Have you ever told your users don't click on something? So this is straight. What do? They just go through it. So I think some people say that the job of cybersecurity, information security, is to like make it so the user can't own themselves. But sometimes you can give the user 1 warning, 2 warnings. Hey, don't click on this. Don't download this. Don't unzip files. Sometimes they just be owned. And we just got to admit it. So sometimes they're going to blow through every warning you give them, and they're going to get compromised. That's why I like that. So you just put that up as a security poster in your office. So this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I tell you, I'm hood, I'm ghetto. Look at my man Scarecrow with the burner. He got the heat ready to go. This is a kid movie back in the day where he'll be like bring out the hammer like that. He look like he's a New Orleans native. That's funny though. But sometimes you have to bring out the big guns. And this is another example. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right? So Dorothy, she throws the water on the river and she kills it. So what I think this is saying is, I think sometimes, big picture, sometimes we have all the things that we need to actually defeat our adversary, and we're totally not utilizing things, right? So basically, there's like GPOs that you can use that nobody uses. And so what we do at Threat Carey is we do attack simulations to try to imitate attackers to see if people can see stuff, right? If their controls are working. But what we found out is nobody has policies in place. So we have people that they're like, okay, we bought DLP, and then you go there, okay, we want to test your DLP. Well, I don't have any DLP policy. Or we want to put this firewall in. Like, oh, we don't have any policy regarding that. I'm like, God dang, man. And so basically you spent all this money on stuff, you have everything you need to defeat the average, but you don't implement anything. And so what happens is, like, when I used to work at the Defense Cybercrime Center, and I used to train federal agents on how to catch hackers. And so since my initial background was building networks, and so what we did is we built this lab at the Defense Cybercrime Center, and we would get federal agents to try to come in and hack the lab. I mean, well, my bad. We would hack the lab, the federal agents would come in, and they would try to do forensics on the stuff, right? Because my background, I built the network securely, so there's a lot of stuff that your garden variety red teamers and stuff just could not do. Some of the callback stuff. If you build your network securely, if you build it right, there's going to be a lot of stuff that just don't work in your network. And so sometimes you're going to defeat your adversaries. You should be able to defeat some of the attacks on accident more than on purpose, just by building stuff right. And remember, you always have the right tools, just like Dorothy had the water. Also, sometimes you're going to get twisted up. Y'all probably remember the scene, Scarecrow gets all jacked up. You're not always going to win. Sometimes when I go to security conferences and I hear people talk, and they sound like total badasses, right? And even like some red teamers and stuff, I think I'm okay at some of the technical stuff, but sometimes when you hear people talk, it sounds like they never lost a battle. In Texas, we have this thing, all hat, no battle. And so like you're going else if you're not, that you're not really playing the game. So I remember like one of the craziest things I ever did in my life, and this is a major L. When I was stationed at NSA when I was in the Navy, and I was pretty much doing like global communications for the whole world. And so we had routers and circuits going all these different places, right? And so I accidentally, so in Cisco routers, you can actually shut down and bring up a port. You can like shut, no shut, and it sometimes toggle the circuit. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So shut, no shut. You always do it on the side that you have comms with. So what does Marcus do? How can I mess this up? So actually, so when we had a problem with, it was like a site in Alaska or something. So I get into the site in Alaska and I shut, and then I shut the site down in Alaska. So it was like totally isolated off the network. I'm like, God dang it, what the heck am I gonna do? But always relax, stop, collaborate, and listen. Like my man Vanilla Ice said. So I had an Air Force guy that just got stationed there, and I knew, like, hey dude, can you go reboot that router for me? So you're going to mess up, and sometimes again, it's lucky that the guy that I just called him up, and so he just flipped it. The circuit was kind of crazy anyway, but when he bounced the router, it came up clean. So if only I would have shut it on my side, it would have worked. But hey, you know what's fun about that? Like, I remember, like, when Unix back in the day, Unix system and routers, like Cisco routers, it's a bad honor day to have like maximum uptime. This thing hasn't been rebooted in 5 years. like it's so like now that's like totally that's totally against everything we believe as security people. So so sometimes, like in this case, you're gonna have disagreements and all that stuff. And I want to talk about some of the stuff that we deal with, like far as our team goes, and threat care. How we kind of do is like you got to kind of assume that everybody's kind of doing their best, and like your best effort is actually quite good enough in most cases. So I see people beating themselves over the head. I'm like, yeah, you did the best you could. You're going else, like I said, there's going to be people that hack and penetrate your network, breach it, steal all kind of data and all that stuff. But what I realize is, like, we're playing the game like totally wrong. And the reason why we get so upset is because I think that, like, we need to reevaluate, look at our jobs. So when I was in the military, in F4 Me Too, is like, what we did is like, all the information we had was perishable in some kind of way. So if I'm sending like, some kind of message to a SEAL team that needs to invade a target or something like that, I would use crypto that was equivalent to how long that message had to be perishable, so basically, I was like, cool. So we got 30 minutes to invade, send them a message. If that message takes 30 minutes to decrypt, good, right? And so that's how the military works. So we would have like all kind of different kind of crypto, like, so the more sensitive stuff was, the more higher the crypto. If it was like, okay, cool, somebody cracked this in a day, we'll use that. So NSA and the military believes that there is a such good enough security. But on the civilian world, what we all do is something totally different. We want to protect data forever, right? If this data ever gets out, we're screwed. Like, it could be anything. It could be like, dang, what Marcus had for breakfast? Oh, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, that's kind of like what we're doing. And that's why we end up frustrated and all that stuff. So we need to really look, like, overall on how we actually value certain data. And if the data gets out, that's okay. We might need to look at the Social Security system. Should we be using that to do, like, credit-related stuff? If somebody gets my SSN and birthday and name, they shouldn't be able to get a credit card in my name. That's ridiculous. Like, I think that these industries need to reevaluate it. But all these things are like a cost-benefit ratio. So the truth is, credit card people don't really care about that. Banks don't care about it, because they actually have all these measurements that kind of offset that, right? So if banks don't care about it, then why are these other industries like caring so much about it? And why do you care about it? That's crazy to me. So these things are not trickling down how they should be. So we need to reinvestigate on like what actually matters and all that stuff, right? So if my credit card gets compromised, do I have to pay $100,000 in charges or whatever? But so me personally, I'm so broke. If somebody steal my identity, it would be just for practice. And so this right here is a shout out to all my industry brethren. This is the cybersecurity industry from a product perspective. People are moving the levers and all that stuff all over the place. And the famous saying is, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Like this is so real right here. People are selling stuff and it's supposed to like work like magic and all that stuff, but it's not the case in many cases. And I'm, it's what's fun about I'm a vendor. I'm selling software, right? So we do the best we can, but there's always the element of the man behind the curtain. Also, this is like, I got two takes on this event here. What was happening here in the movie? Why was he going home? He got found out. Yeah. So many times we see these executives at these companies with crappy security, and then they have their golden parachute or whatever and have a way to get out. Yeah, this happens a lot, right? So this is funny, but like another thing is like far as our careers go and all that stuff, like I'm quoting a lot of hip hop. That's what I do. So it's important, like all of us in here, like if things go bad, sometimes you're gonna lose your position, or there's gonna be like some kind of shift in things. Like so, I encourage everybody to do as much as you can to make yourself. If you lose that position or your position so stressful, I talk to a lot of people and say they hate their job. In cybersecurity, I heard red team. It's like, oh, it's boring. It's too much scope. People won't let me really hack them. All this bullcrap. People are pissed. Like it's a lot of pissed off people. I mean, half y'all in this room pissed right now. So you have to have a way to like let go and be able to move forward with your career and all that stuff, right? Whether it be certifications, degrees, and all that and all those different things. Do not stay in a situation that you don't like. And so, to quote Jay-Z, the great security professional, Jay-Z says, "Put me anywhere on God's green earth, and I'll triple my worth." So you got to be able to, wherever you like, just think about that, and also recognize your value as well. A lot of you people in the room are totally underpaid as well. So you have people like, hallelujah. So so it's a book. This is my first book recommendation. It's called Never Split the Difference. It's a book by it's an ex-FBI negotiator, and he talks about how you can pretty much negotiate anything. And I pissed my wife off with this because I negotiate everything. Like I can go into a shoe store and like, and this is kind of how it works. And what's really important is this: how you have to negotiate with vendors too. Don't negotiate with ThreatCare, but negotiate with the rest of them. So never split the difference. You can get cheaper products, cheaper anything. So I had a buddy. His name was CJ. He worked with me in Maryland. He said, "There's two prices for everything in life. There's what everybody else will pay for that, and there's what CJ will pay for that." And so I incorporate that. So my thing is, there's what all y'all pay for something, and there's what Marcus will pay for something. You have to think that. So negotiation works great. Like you can go into a shoe store, like practical advice, and this works for anything. Go into a shoe store. Hey, it's $40 for some kind. I'm like, okay, I'll give you $50 for 2 pair. And like the first person that you'll encounter, be like, oh no, I can't do that. All right, let me speak to your manager, right? And you walk up the chain, and you surprise on how things work, right? This hotel, I negotiated them down. I walked into this hotel, for some reason my reservation, I knocked $200 off the price of this hotel. Like, without any discounts, the block rate was done all that stuff. But what happens is, like, I think that some of you in here, you're shortchanging yourself when it comes to salary. So say if you wanted to make $125,000 a year. Is that a lot of money to any of y'all? 125? I'm like, no, I make way more than that. Everybody here makes way more than that. So say you want to make $200,000 a year. What would you go in negotiating? You
start higher than that.
That's it. 225. If they give you 200, like, oh, I'm good. All right. So never be afraid to negotiate. All right. Because what's funny is, like, in this movie, like, this guy's an executive, and executives do this all the time. This is an everyday thing for them. And then you could win. You could be the king or wherever you want to be. Right? All right. So I'm kind of nervous. So so check this out. This is another thing. So what were these colors in the book? Anybody read the book? What color was the slippers? That's correct. Who answered that question? Wow, cool. I like that. That's amazing. So Dorothy had these on her feet the whole time, and she had everything she needed to go back home and be happy and all that stuff, right? Just click them, right? So Hollywood in the movie, they're like, oh, cool. We're gonna change these to red in the movie, right? For Hollywood stuff, right? So I think that, like, so that's another thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff that. So I created this thing called Honey Docs a couple years ago, and somebody told me that a lot of people say, hey, yeah, I used Honey Docs, blah blah blah, and I created it and I kind of shut it down. I've had 2 or 3 people here come up to me, man, I really like that Honey Docs thing you did. Then I had one person say, hey, Marcus, remember that Honey Docs thing? I just had a vendor try to sell $1,000 a year. It's the same thing that I put out for free. So it's amazing how people, you know, they take something, it could be freeware, it could be open source, and they wrap this thing around it. They turn those silver shoes red, and voila, you got more money. So I would encourage you to look to see what they're actually doing, and see if you can kind of implement it yourself. Shout out to the Black Wizard of Oz. Anybody seen this movie? Raise your hand if you've seen it. The Wiz? This was when Michael Jackson was still black. But R.I.P. Michael, my bad. Too soon? That's my man. This is Black Michael right there. All right. We're going to get into some books. This is my book list. I'm going to talk about some books and tell you what the applications of them. So this book, 4 Agreements, who read this book for? A couple people. Check out everybody at work has to read this book, right? And the reason why is because if you're working on a team, I highly recommend this, because we all come from different walks of life, different religions, different belief systems, and all that stuff. So I was like, I need something that's not really religious or anything that we can all agree to, like we can kind of live by this thing. Kind of. So here's the 4 agreements: be impeccable with your word. So mean not. Like, some of the stuff that happens in Silicon Valley, like you hear all these crazy companies like Uber and stuff that happens behind the scenes. Like, if you're impeccable with your word, you can't sexually harass somebody, right? You can't be stressing people out with what you're telling them and all that stuff. The second one is don't take anything personally, which is super hard in the technical field. Some of us are so attached to how smart we are that if we don't know something, sometimes people get butthurt. Yeah. So what I recommend is like, you got to tell your people, hey, look, man, we're just trying to do the best thing we can. Just because I say that's not a good idea, I'm not dissing your whole life story. You're like, dang, like that idea is not good. I still love you as a person, right? And this happens all the time. The next thing is don't make assumptions, right? So I went to a talk yesterday. I saw Damon Small did a talk on how people have these assumptions and expectations. He talking about how electrical engineers and sometimes don't believe that some things can be exploited because their expectation is it's going to be used exactly like it was designed. But most people here are hackers. Our expectation is people aren't going to use it as designed. So when we go into security, like, we can't make these assumptions. Also, don't make assumptions about other people's intent. Like, from working on a team, because I really believe the reason why this whole movie was good is because you had this team of people and they all work together. And if you make assumptions about other people, what their intent is, sometimes you're going to end up totally out of whack. So don't make assumptions about what other people intend. And it's definitely, like, a lot of you people are stressed and all that stuff. Like, this book totally decompressed me, and I don't really stress over stuff no more, to be honest with you. So, and always do your best. So, we make commitment. My team, we're always going to do our best. I'm going to do my best at everything. I'm going to do my best at cybersecurity. I'm going to do my best as a CEO. I'm going to do my best as a teammate. Like, always do your freaking best. And if you think that if you believe your teammates are doing their best as well, you're not going to have a lot of problems. When problems happens is, oh, so-and-so doesn't care about this, or so-and-so is not on board. You could be making assumptions. So just go talk to the person. And the next book, we recommend it. So this is required reading by my squad, right? You can't do cybersecurity by yourself. This fifth agreement here talks about this right here. And I think we're all good at the first part. Everybody in here is skeptical as well. Like, I remember back in the day when I first got onto the cybersecurity, like the hacker scene. So I worked with this famous guy named Johnny Long. Anybody heard of Johnny Long? So I worked with Johnny for like 2 years, and like Johnny taught me a lot of stuff about hacking. So when I first come on the scene, I was like, hey, yeah, I worked with Johnny Long, or whatever. People thought I was name dropping and stuff, but we're like really good friends still to this day. And everybody would call up Johnny, hey, do you really know Marcus? It was the funniest thing ever. Like, yeah, So be skeptical, but learn to listen. And that's the hard part for really smart people, like us. Yeah, like we don't want to listen to nobody, all right? And so that's the fifth agreement. So now on to one of my favorite topics, artificial intelligence, AI. So anybody buying any kind of AI stuff? Anybody been pitched AI stuff? All right. Yeah, totally. So this book right here is absolutely amazing. It's called On Intelligence. So everything I recommend is also available on audiobook, because that's the only way I read. You know what I'm saying? It's great for those commutes in the morning, walking the dogs, all that. So this book talks about this guy Jeff Hawkins is the creator of he created the Palm Pilot. So he's really smart. He made a lot of money. His background is he's a neuroscientist and he's also a computer scientist. And why this book is important because he looks how the brain works. He goes through all the neuroscience stuff, and then he goes about how AI. He goes through AI. He goes through machine learning, and he does all the comparisons. Right? Now, so why this book is important for you all is like if you're out there buying products and people are touting AI, don't think, like you can start asking them, what do you really mean by AI? All right? What do you mean? Like, what is this? What is this? What's that? And so it does a great job of also it gives you more confidence in your brain as well. Your brain is an amazing thing. So some like couple of tidbits in the book is like your brain does like 12 operations for anything it does. 12 operations. That means everything I'm doing up here is 12 steps. Like if you built an application, one little thing like clicking a button, it depends on what you're doing, it could be like thousands and thousands of lines of code, right? But I'm up here on stage and I'm doing 12 operations. Your brain is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. And this book is also amazing, The Master Algorithm. So this book goes deep dive in plain English about how all this machine learning stuff works, all the algorithms, and basically the quest for master algorithm. So what's important in this book is it goes off everything that you'll ever be pitched. It talks about everything that you ever see. And it talks about the master algorithm. And a little bit of spoiler, the master algorithm is actually a combination of everything. You need this for this, you need this for that, you need this for that. Amazing book if you want to learn anything about machine learning. I think this guy won a Nobel Peace Prize or something. This book is amazing, good to great. So I read this book as a business book, but like every book I read, like the business implications of cybersecurity are so prevalent. I want to check on time. How much time am I supposed to be up here talking? 2 more minutes? I'll make this.
10 more minutes, then after 2 minutes to switch between people. Some questions.
Roger that. All right, appreciate that, bro. So, good to great book. I read it as a business book, but I was like, dang, there's so many cybersecurity applications in here. Especially this guy right here. You know who this is? James Stockdale. He actually, back when Ross Perot ran for president, he was on a VP ticket. He's a VP on a ticket. I'm gonna read this out. So what they asked, he survived. He was a POW in was it Vietnam? That's right. Dang, my mind. So POW Vietnam. They basically, hey, who didn't make it out? He said, oh, that's easy. The optimists didn't make it out, right? They were the ones who said, we're going to be out by Christmas. And Christmas will come, Christmas will go. They said we'd be out by Easter. Easter will come, Easter will go. And then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and they all died of a broken heart. Right? How many people are, so be an optimist if you're in cybersecurity? Right? Because you're going to say, dang, when we do our Splunk integration, it's going to be good. And then everything's crap still. And then you're going to say, oh, cool, next generation firewall, cool, great. Oh, endpoint, EDR. Bruh, it's not going, you're still going to get on. So, but you have to believe in the end of the story, right? And what Stockdale says here, he says, I never lost faith in the story. I never doubted I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn my life into a defining event of my life, which in respect I will not trade. So he had a different mindset. He like, in the end, I'm going to win. So when we go into a situation where we have to defend this network, we have to be thinking long term, not short term crap, right? But in the end, you're going to be successful at what you're doing. Does that make sense? And that's just like cybersecurity. Some of y'all are living in hell right now at your job. But you just have to keep that in mind. And you have to be able to communicate that in management without fearing your job. So some people think they'd have to tell people, yeah, we're going to secure everything. We get budgeted for this, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to be like super honest, because what you're doing is you're kind of like trying to sweeten your messaging to your management, pressure on yourself. Also in this book, it talks about foxes versus hedgehogs. So the difference between a fox, so a fox, what a fox does is a fox is very agile, knows a lot of stuff, has all kind of tricks up its sleeves, and it compares it to a hedgehog. So a hedgehog is a one-trick pony. So what happens when you attack a hedgehog? That's all it got. That's all it got. So what the book talks about, this is the same book, Good to Great. It talks about being able to be good at something. So most of us are trying to be foxes. We're trying to be good at everything. I don't do anything well, jack of all trades. And some organizations want to implement all these solutions and aren't good at any of them. They're not a hedgehog. What a hedgehog do is that. So I would encourage you all, be good at something. Pick something. Is it reverse engineering? Is it malware? Is it traffic analysis or whatever? Because if you're really good at something, you can actually, that'll take you way further than being a fox and trying to be good at everything. So, I believe you can do it. AI is not going to save you because you already have a brain. And that's it. That's the end of my talk. Thanks. We got time for questions? Yep. All right, any questions? That means I did an amazing job. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Hey, thanks NolaCon for having me. I will definitely be submitting next year for that grub. We got one question right here.
You gave all these book recommendations. Did not mention the book that you're writing.
Oh yeah, I'm writing a book. Yeah, I don't plug myself. I should be a shameless self-promoter. I'm writing a book. It's called Tribe of Hackers. It's going to be out in a couple of weeks. And Tribe of Hackers. Tribe of Hackers. I interview all these people that you know, a lot of famous hackers, and I asked them 15 questions, and it's like a 300-page book. 15 questions on how they started, what do they care about. It's a really good read. A lot of famous people, a lot of people that you would know, famous in nerd terms.
Is it available as an audiobook?
We're going to have to get somebody else to read it because nobody can understand me. Hopefully it'll be an audiobook. We're going to try that. Hey, I appreciate everyone for coming to the talk. I was kind of worried y'all was going to get tipsy last night, but y'all showed up. Thank you very much.